For you, my review of Loups Garoux. So, Loups Garoux, the 20th Doctor Who Big Finish release of the main range, first released in 4 parts across CD and download on the 21st of May 2001. Now, the Doctor, voiced by Peter Davison, and his companion Vizsla Turlough, voiced by Mark Strickson, they have travelled to the year 2080, specifically to Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, to be able to witness Carnival and just have some fun. However, upon reaching Rio de Janeiro, they find that 2080 it's maybe not quite as kind of glistening as they might have hoped, and they soon find themselves in the midst of a plot involving werewolves, or rather involving Loups Garoux, which are kind of like earthbound werewolves. Now, the main ones who they end up encountering are a woman named Ileana de Santos. Now, this story is filled with a load of characters that I am almost certainly going to mispronounce the names of, and for that, in advance, I apologise. So there's Ileana de Santos, voiced by Eleanor Bron, who she has come to Rio de Janeiro in order to try and find a cure for her son, who is like her, a lycanthrope. He is a Loups Garoux, he is an earthbound werewolf, and she wants to find something is going wrong with him, and she's come to a doctor named Matsu Hayashi, voiced by Burt Kwok, and she wants to try and find a kind of a cure for her son, to which she cares deeply about him. However, in the process, she, the doctor, and Turlough end up coming across another group of Loups Garoux, or werewolves, including Pietro Stubb, voiced by Nicky Henson, Anton Lickfuss, voiced by David Hankinson, a member of the long-dead Warana tribe named Rosa Kamen, voiced by Sarah Gale, and Ileana's maid, Inez, voiced by Jane Burke. Now, the kind of villain of the story, the main Loups Garoux who they have to deal with is Pietro Stubb, because it turns out that back in the 1500s, he was a German mass murderer, and he was sentenced to death. And as I mentioned, the character is voiced by Nicky Henson. However, because he was a werewolf, he was able to escape, and thus he bits the various people, including Ileana de Santos, and they've spent years now kind of living, and she has been trying to avoid him. However, he is coming in, and soon the Doctor and Pietro may actually have to battle in order, one, to save Ileana from a dreadful marriage, but at the same time save her from him. And it's actually quite, I don't know if this story is necessarily the best of all the Big Finish stories, but honestly, I think it's enjoyable enough. I mean, there are certain elements that would have been nice to see. Like, it would be nice to hear more about Rio de Janeiro. Like, the Amazon rainforest is touched on briefly, and they do some very creative stuff with Turlough when it turns out that he might actually be succumbing to some of the wolves' curses as well. I do also like some of the minor details, like Ileana originally came from a city in Russia, Smolensk, but eventually had to flee, and that's ultimately why she's been brought here. I do think that's nice. Also, when Turlough ends up running into Rosa Kamen, the last surviving member of the Warana tribe, I do like one of the details is that she carries a silver knife, and given that everyone knows by this point that the only way to kill a werewolf is seemingly with a silver bullet, it's nice to know that small details, they do think about the small details, like silver in her knife is how she is able to keep most of the werewolves at bay. But I do think that the final way that they are able to defeat Stubb in battle, I do think is actually kind of clever. They managed to trick him on board the TARDIS, and in doing so they take him away from the Earth, and because the Loups Garoux werewolves that are bound to the earth, he begins to die. Like, he needs to be connected to the earth, and thereby, by taking him away from the earth, he can no longer survive. To which eventually they find some way, I think, to make his consciousness survive, some way within Rose's consciousness. It gets a little confusing, but overall, I don't think this is the best story, but I think it's one worth listening to at least once. I do like werewolves, and just a story with Doctor Who and werewolves, that's going to be enough for some people. And you know what, it's a nice story. What do you think of Loups Garoux? Let me know down in the comments. And until next time, see ya.